Hello, everyone. It's nice to be back. I hope today the internet connection is better than yesterday. And I would love to talk about something that it was pivotal for me when I explore this area of gut health and really recognize the gut-skin connection. I think I don't need to persuade you today. I don't need to really tell you something new. I think you all know that you have to look at the gut health to really improve your rosacea. The gut skin axis really represent this interplay between the gastrointestinal system and the skin, and it's not only gut skin, but it's bidirectional communication pathways that involves various mechanisms, including immune system signaling, hormonal regulation, and neurotransmitter production. So it's really complex, and understanding this gut-skin connection is really it's crucial, and it's underlying many factors that are contributing to rosacea. So if you have rosacea and you want to heal it, you have to go and explore this area of the gut and really have a closer look, because you can recognize so much, and you can really make complete turn around about your skin. And the research has really, when I talk about this like 6 years ago, that would be really, we didn't have much research that we have it now, but now it's really booming, and it's so exciting because more and more labs are showing us the influence of the gut health on the skin condition, including rosacea. So we know that the imbalance in the gut microbiome, known as dysbiosis, I know I use it a lot. So remember, dysbiosis is this really can disrupt the immune hemostasis and promote the systemic inflammation. I talk about it in our other session about the immune system and about the inflammation. So basically everything is inflammation, and the inflammation can be a result at so many processes in the body, including the gut health. So dysbiosis may manifest as alteration in microbiome diversity. So you growing pathogenic bacteria, either you can have overgrowth or you can have compromise, the bacteria, so you don't have enough of the good ones. You can have too much of the bad ones or not enough of the good ones. That was my case. I didn't have enough of the good bacteria. It can also, the dysbiosis may manifest as alteration of the gut lining, the compromised intestinal barrier function, that we call it leaky gut. That's basically the result of the compromised intestinal barrier function. This is something that, again, a few years ago, you was like, what is this? What you're talking about? Now it is recognized. We can do testing. This is something I would encourage everyone to test if you have leaky gut, because unfortunately I could not test myself. I wish I could, because that would speed up my I think it will speed up my healing journey. If you don't have finances, it's fine, you can do it without, but if you can invest in the testing, this will really help you to recognize like what is going on, because without this, it's very hard to judge. We can do it clinically, but I would always assume that you probably have leaky gut. And because it's very often the case in patients with rosacea, and especially in our case, in individual with rosacea, the dysbiosis and leaky gut may contribute to this systemic inflammatory response that we can observe in the skin. So that's why in our case, this is the connection. And that is regulated immune activation triggered by the antigens from the gut bacteria that will exacerbate more inflammation in the skin. And that's when we have the redness, flushing, and inflammation. So again, the dysbiosis and leaky gut may contribute to this systemic inflammatory response that we can have in the skin. And when we have dysregulated immune activation triggered by this gut-derived antigen, this can exacerbate all the inflammation. So it's all inflammation. It's just this vicious cycle. So whatever we eat, we will make this, it will go to the system. This will create an inflammatory reaction, and this will go to the bloodstream and will cause trouble. Or we have the bad bacteria that we're feeding with a poor quality diet. We're feeding the bad bacteria that then produce these metabolites that go to our bloodstream, and then they will cause this exacerbation, flushing and inflammation and redness. So this is all kind of complex, and we have to really recognize this, because we can just really heal so fast and without any medication in a natural way if we start working on the root causes. And the food is really number one. Then I would do, and this can be the fastest. As I told you, the slowest is our belief and our way how we think and the stress response. This, I think, takes longer time from my experience helping people. The diet can be like in 6 weeks, you will have like this much effect. I have a lady, and we do the elimination diet, and in 6 weeks, she just like, she was almost healed. So, you know, you have various, and some people, they need years, because the stress response is so underneath, so subconscious, that we're not realizing it, and it takes some time, some deep work, and really go back to yourself, doing the meditation and breathing techniques. So it's really complex. And these microbes are really important for you, because not only they can go through the leaky gut to the bloodstream, but they also producing these metabolites. We call it short chain fatty acids. And this is really important. That's why I will talk about in a minute how fiber is important to eat. One of the reasons is that we have to eat fiber because we are supporting growth of these good microbes. And there is also some emerging science, which I know from my experience helping you all, that there is a link between the SIBO, which is a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, of course, IBD too. But so in this group, I wonder how many of you have some gastrointestinal, troubles. It can be a diarrhea or constipation or anything like, a little bit of discomfort, any kind of gut issue. If you have to work on the gut. And sometimes even if you don't have gut issues, you think this is a norm, that basically you are constipated, like it was my case. I was bloated as a young girl quite often, so I had IBS basically since age of 21. I was skinny like a stick, but I was just not healthy inside. And so it's really important to recognize and really work on this. Now, of course, back then I didn't know what I'm doing wrong, because I was just eating wrong food. It's Chinese soup. If I just remember, oh my gosh, so bad. And so we know as well that if you have the individuals that have gut disorders may have higher prevalence of rosacea. So it's really, I just want to highlight the importance of addressing gut health in this management. Sometimes, actually, what I would like to do in my clinic is to have joint sessions with gastroenterologists that can really help me manage my rosacea patients with that. And so by addressing the gut dysbiosis, restoring the intestinal barrier integrity, and modulating this overall inflammation, we can really reduce the rosacea symptoms and improve the health to the degree that basically it will just go away. And then you have the dilated vessels, you can IPL, and it's all gone. So, and if you don't again bring the gasoline into the fire, your basically skin will be calm. So obviously, if you look at me closely, I would never have this velvety skin, because I was not born with that. I always had a mixed skin. I always complained before I had a rosacea that I have large pores. Such a nonsense. And then I got rosacea. I was like, okay, yeah, you were so ungrateful. So you can't change. More carrots I eat, I would never be blonde, right? You cannot change the structure of your skin, but you can work and optimize your biology so it's not inflamed and it's calm. That's what we want to do. And you might even not have sign of rosacea whatsoever. I can tell you that I told you many times, so this year, so we're now in the UK, and in the US it was really much easier to eat well, because you basically, I just buy nothing, because it was like really just very hard when you travel. I always take snacks everywhere, because you can't buy food like that, like here, for example, or in Europe in general. If you go to Italy, you can just buy and eat everywhere, because the food is so delicious and so healthy and, you know, delicious, nutritious. France, the same thing. UK also. But basically, generally in Europe. In US, it was very hard, because all the food that you buy, and if it's not cooked, is very poor quality. They're using soybean oil, and that's really inflammatory. So if you are having these takeouts on a regular basis, you're probably fueling your inflammatory system. You are fueling your system and creating this low-grade inflammation because of this omega-3, omega-6 fatty acids. You're basically ramping up the omega-6, and you have not enough omega-3. And that's when I told you that when I test my omega-3, omega-6, I was shocked. I thought I'm fine, and I wasn't. So it's really complex. As I said, sometimes it's really it can be breakthrough if we do some testing, and then you can target it directly. And so the gut is really important to address. The gut-skin connection is there. We know it. So remember, you either hurting your gut or you healing your gut. So think about it with every mouthful that you have. Of course, sometimes if you choose to have some, you know, treat, have it in a smart way. So what is it? Of course, you have to learn how to eat well. But for example, if you want to have chocolate, never have it on empty stomach, for sure, never, because that will go immediately a spike. It will spike your blood sugar, and then you have again the inflammatory, the sugar roller coaster. This is something that will increase the chance of having high blood pressure and increase the inflammatory reaction and so on. So inflammatory mediators. This is as well when the inflammation can be as well as a result of the gut microbiome. The gut microbiome plays pivotal role in regulating this immune response throughout the body. So this dysbiosis, as we call, either a low number of the good ones or too much of the bad ones, this can lead to really imbalance of these pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory cytokines and chemokines and other immune mediators. And these mediators can really travel through the bloodstream and really contribute to systemic inflammation. And this can really exacerbate the skin. So it's really important what goes to your blood will cause either healing or hurting. So anything is in your bloodstream, you will see it at some point. So sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's slow, depending what it is. Right, so we know that sugar is toxic from 110. So if you have spike over 110, this is like toxic. And imagine you have 5 times a day. So in this toxic, it's like your vessels must be inflamed. And what do you think is on your skin? It is inflamed because of the vessels are inflamed. I see it so many times in the eye. Every day I look to the people's eyes, and I can tell if I ask them, so do you eat biscuits? And because I see so much inflammation back there, and the man the other day told me, so do you eat biscuits, like cookies? And he tells me, oh, I live on cookies. And I said, do you think it's possible to kind of, how many you eat? And he said like 10. Well, if someone tells me 10, it will be like 15 or 20. It's same like with cigarettes. We always usually say less than it is. And I said, do you think you can reduce it to 5 or 3? And he said, oh yeah, I try. Nobody ever told me. So you see, we don't talk about this, that like inflammation can really be influenced by the gut. But now you know. So you can look at consumption of your biscuits and of your, basically any refined carbohydrates will be really, really creating this inflammatory reaction and contributing to gut dysbiosis. And unfortunately, I know it doesn't matter. You can have croissant, you can enjoy the croissant, but don't do it every single day. I know that some of you there, they say, well, the food doesn't matter. Well, it does. If food does, if you are healing. If you healed, you can enjoy croissant. I had it at the weekend with my kids. I had the chocolate croissant. I said, okay, I will feel it, but it's fine. I will have it with them, just to bond over food sometimes, right? But if you're healing, you have to be really, really, you have to have this discipline. So you will, for certain time, you will do these little steps. And then when you have better skin and you almost have no inflammatory reaction whatsoever, then you can say, okay, well, I can try a little bit, go out of my routine and see what happens. And you will see your body will take it. But if it's inflamed, your body will not take it. And little things can flip, can just react to it. Okay, so what is interesting, and people always forget, that also the gut microbiome, the gut or all gut, but especially I will talk about gut microbiome because that's what's in the gut, and that what is basically influencing everything in our body, and also influencing hormone regulation. So that's why sometimes people have more flare-ups before they have period. They have more flare-up when they, are perimenopause or menopause. So because the gut microbiome influences the hormone regulation, including the hormones such as estrogen, testosterone, and cortisol. So it's really important to recognize, and because this the hormonal imbalances can, of course, they're impacting the skin health. If you can tell that if you are in the middle of the cycle, you have really beautiful skin because your hormones are, promoting this anti-inflammatory state, and so your skin is in much better state. And so also fluctuation, for example, of cortisol due to stress can really exacerbate as well the inflammation and trigger rosacea flare-up. So it's like so complex, but at the end it is actually that easy, because if you really heal your gut, everything that I'm talking about will take place. And you don't need to, work on, you don't need to work on specific on hormones or specific on this. Your body will take. You don't need to manage it; it manages for you. And something I want to mention as well, which we very often forget, that we know that we sometimes often call the gut like second brain. Why? Because there's so much, it's extensive network of neurons and neurotransmitters. And this is really where the gut-brain axis plays crucial role, because it can regulate our mood, our emotions, our stress response. And we know that even stress itself not only, is influencing the immune reaction, as I told you, but influences also the gut permeability, which is astonishing. I think it's, if you think about it, just because of stress, you can develop leaky gut. I think this is really, we have to take really the stress. I always say the three killers, the too much sugar, stress, and not enough sleep, three S's are like, you have to work on these three S's and you will be all right. And so, yeah, so the stress can really influence the gut permeability. Also, it can influence the gut microbes. We know some studies show up that some women, they could not lose weight and they were eating really healthy food, but because they were all the time stressed, the body from various pathways, the body didn't release the fat because of this. So really, these psychological stressors, such as anxiety and depression, has been really linked to worsening rosacea symptoms. So I don't know how many of you are on the, on tablets for anxiety and depression. Just think, and there can be your cause right there. You know what to work on. You have to work on the gut. And now also so much research about mental health and metabolic health and nutrient, this is this nutritional psychiatry and metabolic psychiatry. It's really pivotal how we have to work, we have to think about our health a different way. And of course, not to forget that it's not coming also from inside, like what we feel if we feel stressed, but of course, it's always coming also from outside. So environmental toxins are really, the gut is really bad. The gut is a primary route of exposure to this, pollutants and toxins and xenobiotics. And so when we disrupt this gut barrier, this can increase absorption of these toxins in the bloodstream, and that's how we trigger the immune response, and that's why that's why inflammation can really be triggered as well. And it can be UV radiation, can be chemical exposure, that contributes to the oxidative stress and inflammation, and this is how it can show up as on the skin. So as you see, it's so complex, but really, if you start working on your gut, I will tell you a few tips down in a minute. This will be really breakthrough for you. And of course, as I said, the microbial diversity is super important because a majority of the bacteria live in our guts. And so this gut microbiome really is composed of this array of microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and really this influence immune homeostasis and overall health. Right? There's even gut-eye axis, there is gut immune. It's basically gut is influencing gut-brain axis, everything. And so we want to really balance the gut microbiome, and when it's imbalance in microbial diversity, such as I said, again, when we have reduced the microbial richness, and we have just some of the bacteria that are really harmful, this can be as well associated with inflammatory reaction in the skin. So it's really, this is what we have to work on. And the alteration, it's really, that's why the testing of the gut is so important, because we can really immediately address it and really work on it. Because if you don't know what's wrong, it's very hard to move the needle, because it's just not so straightforward. You can do it, and because I did it, so, and many others did it without testing, but that's what I mean, that you can really address it much easier if you know what is going on. And dysbiosis may be a result from also from the antibiotic use, and it's paradoxical, because as a doctor myself, and my colleague as well, they still do it now. Rosacea, even my colleague in the hospital, now we are kind of aligned, so that we're doing program that will be really aligned. I'm so happy because they're taking my approach on board. So it's really exciting, but they still prescribing, doxycycline like for long term, and this can wipe up all the bacteria. Don't worry if you're one of those. If you did have antibiotics, don't worry about it, because you can rebuild the microbes. I tell you how. And sometimes we need to get antibiotics to get rid of some bad bacteria, such as there are some other bacteria like bacterial species like Helicobacter pylori, or if you have SIBO, this can as well, kind of bring you more to pathogenesis of rosacea. So it's really it's complex. But if you were on antibiotics, just I don't want that you are worried, and we can do something to address it, and we can improve it. So you imagine, so you have to start working on the gut. So you have to feed the good bacteria. Is that clear? I hope that's clear. I hope you can get tested for leaky gut. I like this test that I'm doing for most of my patients, is the leaky gut and food sensitivity, because it's cheaper than the big gut test. So there are some on internet, the gut tests. They are cheaper, but you will not learn anything. It will just show you like you have gut dysbiosis or not, but like you can presume that you have gut dysbiosis. That will not help you. You need to have really the rundown of bacteria, and then really learn what bacteria are there and what you're missing, so you can really as well kind of design what probiotics you will personally benefit from. So it's really complex. And so before we move to the what to do about it, I'd like to talk also about the leaky gut, because it's something that still people don't know about it. Even some of the leading doctors, they not recognize really the intestinal barrier dysfunction. It's a real thing. And it is real thing. It's so much research about it now, so it's not no way to ignore it. And it's really crucial because it's basically the passage from what's inside, what's outside. So we eat, and that's outside, right? It's not in. I know it's inside, but it's outside. It's not in the blood. And when from the colon it goes to the blood, this is what we don't want. And this is when we have leaky gut. The harmful molecules are going to the bloodstream and triggering immune responses, inflammation. So you don't want to have leaky gut. You can heal leaky gut. But if you have leaky gut, whatever you do, everything, you will just be sensitive to everything, even to healthy food. Because I remember I did my first test, actually. I was almost healed, and I still have a little bit of leaky gut. So it takes time, but you can really heal it. And we need to have the gut lining really not compromised, so that the toxins, the bacteria or undigested particles will not go to the bloodstream. It will go to the poop and will go out from us. So this is really, because otherwise it will always trigger the systemic inflammation. So whatever you do, you can eat whatever you want. If you don't behave and do things that will close the leaky gut, this will be really so frustrating, because you will just be unhappy and you will think, oh well, I'm eating healthy, but you're not giving the body the nutrients it needs to really heal the gut. I will tell you all about it. And so we have to really support the gut barrier integrity. So gut healing food like bone broth and collagen are some of them. Sometimes when I have time, like these celebrations that we have, like Christmas time or the Easter, then I do like a broth week. Well, we call it bone broth, but actually much more beneficial is when you do bone and meat on it, like chicken stock, especially with the feet as well, because it's a lot of gelatin, it's a lot of rich in collagen. So this can be really, really helpful if you don't eat meat. So I always, I wish I don't need to kill animal. We used to kill animal as a kids. We had chicken in the garden, and we always, from the childhood already, I know I have to thank the animal for their life. And so I appreciate each meat that I eat, that it was once live, bird. But if you, from some reason, don't eat meat, you can do vegetable stock. It will be less efficient, but you can always, if you put some seaweed in it, you can always do it. But really, the organ meat and bone broth and liver, it's just so beneficial. And really just avoid the gut damaging substances like alcohol, NSAIDs, and things like that. Ibuprofen is really bad for gut and for leaky gut. So many drugs are really damaging the gut. So if you need to know more about it, let me know. I don't want to go about this too much, but if you wondering, just let me know in the comments. I can go back to this. What I'm thinking also, that glutamine, zinc, and quercetin are really as well good for the gut lining. This can help to restore the gut permeability and reduce inflammation. That's why I'm a big fan from other tests, and that is the metabolomics from Genova. And that is really the rundown from all these nutrients, because so many people, you'll be surprised, like we are all deficient of nutrients. And so if you can eat this healthy food and everything, but if you have low zinc and and all these micronutrients, vitamin D and all this, you will be very hard to heal. So that's why I love to do this. It's not on insurance. If you're in the US, you can buy it online. but here in Europe, you have to have practitioner to prescribe this test. It's not cheap, but it's just like I would pay my last money to know what's wrong with me. But that's just my attitude. I always, my health is my biggest value, so for me it's no brainer. But yeah, you can do it without. It just helps. It helps to consider what is wrong. So and as I said, the gut health also aggravates the immune system, so that's why it's a really, you have to think of that. And also the gut, if we dysregulate the axis, then we have alteration in serotonin levels, and this can impact as well. So it's really complex. And so before I move, I like to talk about one more last things, and that is the metabolites. So the gut microbiome produced various metabolites. I already mentioned, and that's these short chain fatty acids, the bile lipids, and these lipopolysaccharides. And this can modulate the immune response. And again, inflammation. So you see, inflammation is there all the time. It's either low or high. When it's high, it goes everywhere in the body and shows up in the skin. So that's why you have to heal the body to be able to see results in the skin. It doesn't help if you just will be applying creams in here and you will just leave the body untreated. So you can test also for LPS, because that is when this is the metabolites such as LPS are derived from the cells of the walls, and this have been implicated in the skin inflammation and rosacea as well. So again, we can do so much testing, and this what I really, with my patients, I do that because we want to be as personalized as possible. As I said, you can do this without testing, but if you can find a practitioner who will do it for you, this will be perfect. And that's why we have this therapeutic intervention, when we can target this gut skin axis, and through these therapeutic interventions, and which includes the probiotics, prebiotics, dietary modification, and gut healing supplements like glutamine, zinc, and stress reduction. That's what we will be doing. There's one session actually close, so watch the Rosacea Healing Workshop Facebook group, and you will find a link there. And when you address the underlying imbalances, you can really reduce inflammation, and this will really help you to reduce the symptoms and improve your skin. That's basically is our goal. So everything is in your gut. And that's why you have to understand this complex, interplay between the gut and the skin and everything else, because this is what you want. Sometimes we also, as I mentioned, also the micronutrient deficiency. Sometimes we eat vitamin D, but we're not absorbing it. And so when we start, optimizing the gut microbiome, we will optimize also the nutrient status. And you can support it as well with supplement. But again, I would be careful with supplementation, because sometimes it's confusing us what is actually working, what is not working. And so that we talked about it yesterday, about the dietary factors that can play a role, and you can be in a really another place if you start consume profoundly the gut healing foods, and this can really help you to reduce this rosacea symptoms. And also not only food, but also when you watch and really reduce the exposure to environmental toxins. If you watch your use of plastic, if you watch what type of water you're drinking, if you see, like I don't use minimal plastic, I don't use plastic bottles, I don't use the foil, the plastic foil, because all this can aggravate you. Like, it's so minuscule, but if you are sensitivity to this, which again you can test with a DNA test, but you need to do it because we have to stay away from that anyway. So all these are mold is like, it's a killer. For some of, like, I'm super sensitive to it. If I live in a moldy house, I probably would not be here anymore, because some of us are so sensitive that creates all these inflammatory pathways and really affecting even our DNA, some studies. So it's really important to do that. And what I want really to remind you of also, that I mentioned ibuprofen, but that it can damage the gut lining, but it's also PPIs can really disrupt the balance of the gut microbiome and can cause dysbiosis. Long-term antibiotics, again, don't be worried if it's one of you, but if you were having long-term antibiotics, you probably have to start working on a gut, because you depleted the beneficial bacteria and you have decreased risk of dysbiosis. So don't worry, we can get you back there by eating better food. But the digestive health is such as sometimes with your gastroenterologist, you can do some testing. They can do a SIBO test with you. You can do something, and they can even do the microbial composition. But I don't think we can do that in a normal modern medicine. I think it's only functional medicine that does these testing, like Genova or the Nordic labs that I'm using. So of course, what to do about it? So we have to work on our guts. Is that clear? Yes. We have to seal the gut lining, and we have to grow good bacteria. And so what to do? So anti-inflammatory diet, number one, you have to find out what is your kind of type of anti-inflammatory diet, because some people, if they have oxalate, it's sensitive to oxalate or sensitive to histamine, you might prepare plate full of these foods and they will have a reaction, because they're metabolizing it in such a way that it will increase inflammation. But if you go, so we don't have time to talk about all of these, but if you have a list of food that you feel that you're not reacting to, you can start there. Just stay away from processed food. Anything has a label, just stay away from it. That can be a number one rule. Just like I tell with my kids, we eat ELF food. Eat label-free food. So that will be rule number one. I always say to people, eat PFF. What is it? Protein, fat, and fiber. So you have all the nutrients that you need for optimizing your health. Protein is obvious, right? You can't go wrong with that. Fat, only from olives, only from nuts and seeds. And that's it. I would stay there. I would not go anywhere. I would not use any oil, maybe ghee, but I would just be very careful. And fiber, it's something that we are fiber deficient. We have to work on fiber. And this is all the vegetables, all the fruits. This is something that you will benefit greatly if you eat much more fiber, because fiber is the component that the gut bugs love. And so eating fiber-rich food is absolutely critical when you want to improve your gut lining, gut health. And it's all like, fruits, vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. And fiber supports the digestive health by not promoting only the irregular bowel movement, but also feeding the beneficial bacteria and reducing inflammation in the gut. So that's why you want to have fiber-rich food. And so I love, so there's big debate about oats. I like oats, but there's few problems with oats. First of all, so I'm not talking about the instant in the bag. I'm talking about the raw oats or steel cuts, basically the non-processed one. There are a few things with it, because it's high in, so they spray the glyphosate to dry it out in some areas. So there's chance that you will have oats that they are rich in, they have some the herbicides, which is toxic to your, so you might think that you are healing your gut, but actually you are creating more toxins in your gut lining and creating more leaky gut. So that is a problem. For a second problem with oats is that in some people, if you are not metabolically healthy and if you're not metabolically flexible, this will spike your blood sugar above 110. And this is my case. I cannot have just oatmeal like that or porridge. I have to have some PFF, protein, fat, and fiber. And I can just have little, like 2 spoons, basically. And tablespoon, and otherwise my blood sugar goes up, because my genetic predisposition is having diabetes. So even I never have problems with obesity, I always carry a little bit of fat around my stomach, and that's what we don't want. This is the visceral fat. That's really, it's harmful. And so that's with the oats. Oh, please don't drink oat milk. This is like no go. Oat milk is really bad. This is especially all these milks that are there. You might think that you can't have dairy. I think majority of you cannot have dairy. I think that's pretty well. Majority of my patients that I talk to can't have dairy. But if you want to have some other milk, find a milk that has no emulsifiers, because emulsifiers just will just kill your gut lining. It's basically, if you know what happened if you put the Fairy Ultra on there's this typical ad, you put Fairy Ultra on a fat pan, you see how it's completely immediately separates the fat from everything else. This basically, emulsifiers basically swipe completely the mucin layer in the gut. It's now so many studies about it, these carrageenans. So look at the labels, and if there are some emulsifiers, just don't take it. You might think you can be in healthy diet, but there's so many products, healthy, unhealthy. They're claiming that they have healthy gut, the probiotics and I don't know what, they're full of nasty. So please just read the labels and really be very careful, because it can be you might harm yourself even more instead of helping yourself. And eating probiotic and fermented food, this is something that it's really that you have to be super careful, because if you are on a histamine, if you're not tolerating histamine-rich food, this can make you suffer more. So even if you want long-term incorporate probiotic-rich food such as kefir, yogurt, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha in our diet, because these foods are not only containing this beneficial bacteria that can help to restore the balance, but they also already contain the metabolites that we want. So you have like 2 in 1, that this will support your immune function. But sometimes we just can't take it. Our body at this point cannot take. Your histamine intolerance can improve when you improve your gut health. This all can improve, but you always have to be like, sometimes I react to histamine, sometimes I don't. But it's all really depends how strong your gut diversity is. And I know that when we move here to the UK, if I will have tests directly when we move, when I didn't have time to take care of myself well, I definitely would have a little bit of low of the good bacteria, because I suddenly stopped eating this diverse food, like 50 plus vegetables a week that I normally do. But so this is something that I just want to tell you, that nothing will happen if you start eating 1 carrot a week. But if you start incorporating these foods, this will be really beneficial. Prebiotics foods is really important, such as garlic, onion, leeks, asparagus, bananas. Again, it can be high in FODMAPs. It can be high in histamine. So you have to, again, we have to have like this personalized approach. I teach this extensively. I talk about low FODMAPs a diet. I talk about low histamine. I can't tell you everything today, but as I said, if you start doing label-free, no labels, and do home cooking, pre-cook. I mean, I managed to do that, so you can manage that too. I do batch cooking, so I do. I have freezer full of stuff. I have freezer full of vegetables and fruit, so I can, if I come home, I can mix something and cook it within 15 minutes. I always have BPA free in a glass jars some legumes. Like I like some I can't have all the beans, because just I would have food baby still. This is something that some of it I still can't have, but it's fine because I have the other stuff. So I found which beans are good. So I like the broad beans, and some of these lentils are lovely. Sometimes I pre-cook lentils and I freeze it so I have it ready. Prebiotics are super important because they are feeding the probiotics. So you have the prebiotics, you have probiotics, you have symbiotics, and you have postbiotics. So we have to have all of it to create good gut health, so you don't have this flare up. So prebiotics are all the vegetables or the fruits that feeding the probiotics. Probiotics are the bacteria that are in fermented food. Those are probiotics. And postbiotics are the postbiotics are the metabolites that are the probiotics are producing. So there's the short chain fatty acids, the butyrate. Sometimes you can buy the bottle of butyrate, can be really good for your gut health. And symbiotics are if you have it together. And so you need to have all of it, but you have to really make sure that you're not overwhelming your system. So that's why it's so, I wish I can give you one thing that everybody will do, but we will not all benefit because we are all different. Some of you will need to work on metabolic health, cut completely sugar. That was me. I had to start with that. I have a high sugar addiction because I was only eating that in hospital when I was junior doctor. I had poor sleep all the time, night shifts. I never gained weight because I work it out, but I didn't have a good bacteria at all. Like what bacteria I can have from eating chocolate all the time? From the patient, the nurse is always that was there on display, so I always nibble, and that was it. And then I had some sandwich at the evening, just beige diet, I call it. So we need to really work on cooking homemade meal with vitamin L, which is love. And if you need help with that, go to my other group. It's Dr. Dr. Radka support, or ask me and I can send you a link. This is all about cooking and vegetables. My friend, she's now within our My Sugar Stop community. She's managing all the meals and she's posting all the time some meals you can be inspired. So if you need to, help with cooking, go there. We are focusing here on the, strategy and how to heal with a holistic approach. But so I'm not spending too much time on cooking and stuff. But really, I love for you all to be efficient in the kitchen and really in very short time prepare all the food that you need, so you can really be your gut can be your gut health can benefit from it. Hydration is something that we overlook very often, but that can now studies as well telling us that there are different bacteria when people are they have adequate hydration and when they are dehydrated. So your bacteria like to be you to have adequate hydration because many things can happen better, I guess, when there is better hydration. The movement and of waste through digestive tract, this can really as well promote overall gut health. So it's something that you think of it. Always have a glass of water. Now I have a small, usually I have a large one, but always have a glass of water. And then I tell you a story. There was so limit alcohol and coffee. So this is really something really interesting because sometimes I had people desperately want to heal, but they say, well, I don't want to quit alcohol. But then question is like, how badly you want to heal? It's like, so you have to decide for yourself, but studies showing that the consumption of alcohol and caffeine can disrupt the gut barrier function and microbial balance. So I'm not so worried about caffeine, but alcohol is more kind of detrimental. I drink coffee. I have it now sometimes, almost a few times a week, actually, because I love coffee. But if you tell me I don't have it, I don't have it. I don't have. It's not my addiction. But if you hooked on coffee, try to just pause it for 1 week, and you will see the difference. I always advise it when we're doing this elimination diet, this 30 days elimination diet, which we'll be doing in May, or just next course. This is something I advise as well, to stop the coffee, because we do it the 100%, right? There's no point to do it 70%. And of course, stress reduction. So you might be surprised, but if you practice the stress reduction techniques, such as mindfulness meditation, deep breathing, exercise, yoga, tai chi, whatever it is, this chronic stress that we all have can impact negatively the gut health, because it alters the gut motility, it's increasing the leaky gut, the intestinal permeability, and it's promoting inflammation. So it's no brainer. You just have to incorporate this into your life. Otherwise, as I said, you can have kale all day long and pristine diet. If the chronic stress will be still impacting negatively your gut health, there's this piece of puzzle that needs to be placed in the puzzle when you are collecting it, and you have to start applying this to your life every single day. Another thing that is really important is engaging in regular physical activity, because as we know, it's so important for our mitochondria, and exercise has been shown to promote microbial diversity as well. It reduces inflammation and support overall gut health. So I don't need to tell you that if you run, sprint there and back just now, you will come back and you will just be laughing, because that's how our body works. We need to move, and you will be immediately jolly, because this will be the endorphins working on you. I see it so many times. Even people rush in for late appointment. They come and say, "Hello, doctor," and it's like okay, good. They run and they create this good chemicals, even it was a little bit of a stressful situation, but the physical stress is good actually. And of course, I would not skip talking about something really important, and it's related to gut health, and that's adequate sleep. That's the 3 S's: the sugar, the stress, and sleep. You must have adequate sleep, you have to stress less, and you have to stop eating sugar. And that way, these are 3 killers that whatever you do, if you don't do this, it's like the wave will slap on you again, and you will just have another flare up. And it's work, but just if you do every step by step, like we're doing always, that you will learn so much. So prioritize good sleep hygiene. Remember that sleep routine starts in the morning when you wake up, right? I'll talk about it yesterday. So the best thing you can do is, I think, the art of waking up early, to see the sun, make time for yourself in the mornings, wake up 30 minutes earlier so you can really go outside. If you have dog or not, just run outside and just see the sunrise. This will change your life. Of course, not on, if you have short sleep, just make sure to go to sleep earlier so you can afford to do this, because we know that poor sleep quality and insufficient sleep duration can disrupt your gut health, impair immune function, and exacerbate the inflammation in the gut, in the skin and in the gut. So this is something that you have to start doing. And of course, the supplements. So I would start really slowly with supplementing. So you know that you have to eat vegetables, the PFF, protein, fat, and fiber food, probiotics. I would wait, and the gut supportive supplements. I would really stay with zinc, quercetin, and sometimes glutamine. But I had one patient. She was really, she just didn't tolerate glutamine at all. Otherwise, there was only one case. Otherwise, people usually tolerate glutamine quite well. But always, I would be very careful. Zinc and quercetin is quite well tolerated, and but I would really start with food always, because I don't want that you go from unhealthy processed food to healthy processed food, which is all these supplements. Sometimes we have to get the vitamin D and zinc and all these micronutrients, magnesium, but or quercetin or green tea, we have to have it, but don't go too much of having too many supplements, because this can create an unwanted confusion, and then we don't know what's actually is going on. So it's really important to, I hope it's not overwhelming. I know it's a lot, and it's not written. That's why I have surprise for you. I hope I can at the end of the webinar and of the workshop. That's something I'm working on now long term, and I'm committed to this. And so I share with you. But I hope this integrating this insights will make a difference for you. I know that you have things coming from every side. So let me know now. I know that one of you asked for more recipes and for some list of food. I can work on it and I can give it to you, because that's what we're doing all in the program. So if any of you are really you are decided to work on your rosacea, join the program. This is something that we do, that we meet every week and we do this intentional work so you can heal. Otherwise, this was for today, the gut health. I hope it was helpful. Please let me know your feedback. Let me know what questions you have. And I will see you soon again.